Good morning, moms of master books, maybe afternoon, but where you are. But I'm Rachel Smith, and I am one of the moderators here in the Master Books group. And I'm going to share with you my own personal master book story, how I ever came to master books. I'm a mom of four. My kids right now are currently 17, 16, 13, and 11. They're in 12th grade, 10th grade, 8th grade, and 6th grade. We are in our 4th year of using master books. This year we're using all master books with our courses, other than some things they have in their co-op. But how I came across master books was completely by accident, honestly. I was a former teacher. I taught high school English for 15 years. Excuse my dog barking in the yard. I went to a convention which completely blew my mind. The convention, good morning. I did not know what I was walking into when I went to that convention. I was completely overwhelmed. I thought, being a teacher, I've been to plenty of conventions and plenty of teacher trainings, but it was all pretty much the same things over and over. There wasn't a lot of variety there for me when I went to those things, and I wasn't exposed to a lot of different curriculums as a teacher. So when I went to my first convention for a homeschool convention, I was just completely overwhelmed. I did not realize there were so many choices and so many options. I went just to go and get this one curriculum that we had used our entire schooling careers for my children and for me personally. And so when I went to get that curriculum, my husband actually passed by the Master Books booth, and he kind of stopped there, and I just headed on over to the big box curriculum booth that I was there for. When I went, I just kept looking through everything, and my husband was still over in the Master Books booth. Good morning, Melina. This book is what had my husband drawn in, was this big chart here. And then he started looking at things like this passport to the world for the kids and the children's atlas for the kids. We realized that these were school books. We did not realize that there were actual school books like this before. We were so used to our children's boring books that they did not want to look at. So to find a book that looked like this, and to realize that our kids could be using those for school, was very different for us to experience. And so, again, I kept going over to the main booth that we were there for, and I just could not sign up. I mean, we were there to sign up for that curriculum because we could get a discount, but I just could not sign up because we had seen these. So it kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't sure at that point what I was going to do. And if you know what it's like as a homeschool mom. Trying to choose curriculum seems to be the hardest decision. We fret ourselves over it. I know I do. I stress over it. Am I choosing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? So I had my mind made. I went to that convention and I was getting this other curriculum. And then I got thrown for the loop. And so I was back in that stressed out of what am I going to do type of a position. And Israel Wayne was in the booth. I did not know who Israel Wayne was, but he was there and some of his children. And so we just started talking to them, asking them some questions. And he got us even more interested in the Master Books curriculum. Then I saw myself, I was looking through the books, and I saw this great schedule. So as a teacher, seeing this great plainly laid out schedule really drew me in. To see that the weeks were clearly labeled, the days were clearly labeled, semesters, I knew exactly what was happening, and this was so easy to me to follow. I was very used to having lesson plans given to me. So with it being my first year of homeschooling, this definitely intrigued me. And so I jumped right in and did not buy what we had came for, and I bought a kit. And I want to say I bought like the 4th grade kit. That's how they did it at that time. And I bought the 4th grade kit and brought it home. And at the time, I want to say my kit had just maybe Bible, science, and history in the kit. So I brought the kit home and just, again, was so blown away with how nice the books were. My kids were looking at it and they were wanting to look at the books and wanting to look through the books. Also, price. Price was huge. It was so much less expensive than what we were used to doing, so the price was huge for us. And the thought of being able to get books like this that were beautiful, that my kids wanted to be looking through, and then they were surprised that these were school books. Plus, for me as a teacher, looking at this lesson plan that was so plainly laid out for me, then knowing that this was a curriculum that was associated with Answers in Genesis and publishing for Ken Ham and the Creation Museum, all of that drew us in because we knew at that point it also had the worldview, the biblical worldview that we wanted to teach in our home. So we weren't going to have to be correcting throughout the curriculum as other curriculums we were. We weren't going to have to be saying, no, we don't, let's go back to the Bible and this is what we think, this is what the Bible says, and this is what we want, the way we want to direct you. So the fact that we weren't having to do that in the curriculum was also a huge plus. So the price was right, the books were beautiful, and the biblical worldview was definitely what drew us in. So like I said, we didn't get our main box curriculum. We bought this kit, came home with the one kit, looked through it for one day, and I called Master Books. I called them and said, I've got this one kit, so I want more. So at that point, I ordered more Master Books. Just from looking through the one kit, I was sold. That's how we got into it. So now here we are. We are 4 years into Master's Books. We're still enjoying it. It took me a while to still play around with many other curriculums. I was more of eclectic, going from this subject in this curriculum, this subject in that curriculum, learning how my children learn as well. And so thankfully, Master Books, the more I learned about Master Books, the more I saw that they had plenty of options for the different learning styles of my children that we could make work. I found the Moms of Master Books group on Facebook and became a part of that community, had lots of support there. I mean, anytime I had a question, I could go right there and get it answered right away. Getting to know personally, seeing in the group that there were the actual authors that to see that I have this book here by Craig Froman, and my children are doing this this geography course, and I could go on there and ask a question, and he might actually be the one that was answering the question. Well, that connection, that personal connection, was huge to me. I loved being a part of that. I loved knowing that I had such access to the people. I felt like they actually cared more about my children and our homeschooling journey and what we were actually going through. So that was a huge plus to me as well once I found the group. So now again, here we are. We're 4 different children. I have a senior this year, and we've been working through all their different learning styles. Master Books has met everything we've needed for that. My youngest son has had several different learning issues, and the courses have been great for him. They're not too overwhelming for him, and so that has been perfect for us. So for me, it has fit into our lives in so many different types of children and the way they learn, and we've been able to make Master Books work for all of them. We have, they've been challenged. They're not just memorizing for tests and quizzes. They're actually having to learn and study and figure things out for themselves. I've loved that part of it, and that's what keeps us coming back, and we've expanded more and more into the Master Books. We've actually, this year, for the first time, we went into the principles of mathematics. We were doing math lessons for living education with my youngest son, and he's really liking that. But I wasn't sure about going into the higher maths yet for myself, honestly, because I wasn't sure that I could do them and then and help them through them like they needed to. But so this year we've entered into principles of mathematics, and that's been a great fit for us. Everything's been thorough, and to where my son has been able to do it on his own. And so we're expanding a little more every year into our 2 Master Books, to where, like I said, this year we've been doing all primarily Master Books. But Master Books just met a need that I just didn't even realize, met a need for us in a way that I didn't even realize was an option. And so again, we just completely stumbled across it. I wasn't doing great research. I don't have any great story like that. It was just, I was at a convention and I stumbled across the booth. My husband actually is the one who stumbled across the booth and kept being drawn in, and we kept coming back to that booth. So there's no, other moderators might have some wonderful story of how they researched and everything about it, but that's just not been our case. It was a complete accident for us. And once we brought it home, we loved it. And so we've just more and more grown into the company and expanded more into the company as far as what we're doing in our home. And so that is our personal master book story. It was just a complete stumbling in a homeschool convention by an overwhelmed mom, not sure of what she's going to do. I hope there's those of you out there that have maybe possibly found it this way, complete accident. Someone's shown it to you that way, but that was me. And then as far as now, sharing it with others, that's what I do. I enjoyed it so much that I just share it with others, and if it meets their need and if it's going to work for them, and that's kind of how it is for us. It just worked. It was just a complete accident, but it's definitely worked, and we are absolutely in love with master books.